What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with the finale, if you will, our final of 7 reviews that we have done of the new Varia decks from Guildhouse Games. We were contacted by Guildhouse Games, asked if we would be interested in reviewing these cards. We were flattered and more than happy to do so. And honestly, the journey has been a really awesome one.
Yeah.
We have really enjoyed ourselves. If you missed the videos leading up to now, I guess you're welcome to jump in at the end, but we're going to be making a lot of references back to the other videos that we've done, and we encourage you to go watch them. So that playlist is going to be linked in the top right-hand corner of your screen on that iCard, so feel free to click that at any time to go see those other videos if you missed them and to catch up. But today, we are here for the final deck, my final deck, because Amy has already had her final pick reviewed, which was Cosmic Mage. That was in the last video. And Amy has confirmed that it was, in fact, her favorite after the fact, which is interesting. I'm curious to see if this holds up. If I like this as much and have this be my favorite, the same way that the Cosmic Mage was Amy's favorite. As we typically do, we can talk about the art on the back, which I love. I will also say what I find interesting about this art on the back. First of all, similar to the front, right? Red on one side, blue on the other. It looks like the bow staff that the monk is holding here, or the staff in general, is dual colored. I don't know if that is for any particular reason, that one is definitively the handle and one is definitively the top piece. But I like that it's dual colored. It works with like the, I guess what is supposed to be indicative of the yin and yang style symbol behind the monk, with the reds and the blues. I also wanted to point this out. Maybe this is just me, right? The monk is part red and part blue, and yet the overall color of the deck seems to be green, right? That at least the like diamond here and the text box on the back. And I guess my curiosity lies in why then the Death Pirate is the one that's purple, when if you look at this art, it's very predominantly green.
Yeah.
And if you look on the back, it's very predominantly, like, at least greenish, right? Sea blue, right? Something like that, where it's got the greens mixed in. So I was a little confused about that. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's because it's a little too on the nose, and that they wanted the blue and the red to be able to be separate and not, like, melded together to be purple, because that kind of defeats the purpose of dual colors like that, and
I guess
kind of that whole symbolism there.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about the fact that this is the first, and obviously since it's our last one, the only 5 out of 5 difficulty deck.
Yes.
I did not do this on purpose, because we only really looked at the fronts before choosing them. But it means that I chose the 5 difficulty, and the only 5 difficulty, and the only 4 difficulty. And I will say, going into this, I felt like the 6th blade was my favorite before this one, and obviously we haven't opened this one yet. So I'm curious to see if, because this is supposed to be more complex, if that leads to me enjoying it more and actually having it definitively be my favorite. Again, as we have been doing, let's read the little blurb on the back of the box, and then we can get right into the opening and the review itself. It says, "Forget everything you know about trading card games. When playing Varia, there aren't any minions to protect you or walls to hide behind. Instead, you raise the shield, you cast the spell, you swing for the win with your weapon of choice. If you want to achieve a state of pure balance, you'll have to awaken it within yourself."
Cool.
I love that. Again, if you're unfamiliar, if this is the only video you're watching, that last line is different for every deck. All the other lines of that paragraph are the same, but it gives you an indication of what the deck is trying to do. I also wanted to say with this art, I like the fact that it's not just energy around the monk's hands. It looks like swords or daggers or something coming out of the top, and it makes sense because the monk's fists seem to be clenched within those red and blue circles, as if she is holding something. So I like that, like, maybe she summons those swords as opposed to kind of imbuing an existing sword with magic, like we saw the Cosmic Mage and I think the Divine Paladin as well do. This may be purely summoning swords with her abilities.
I got from it that it was just like a symbol that shows up when the magic is used.
Okay, sure. That makes sense. Well, we will find out, because as we've learned, these are typically, the arts that are on the back are arts on cards in the actual deck itself. So maybe when we get to that particular card, it will shed some further light. No, come on. I'm usually pretty okay at this. Today, not so much apparently. Come on. That's better. We did it.
Nice.
We did it. Okay. Okay. And so the extended version of this art, I know, Amy, you had been interested in the past on what she was standing on.
Yeah, this is sort of...
Looks like an urn kind of a thing, or maybe a drum.
Yeah, but it looks like it has a face on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Maybe we'll find out more, because if you look at this art, typically we've had 2 item cards, and it's usually the art from the front of the box that shows the 2 item cards. And so unless her outfit in some way is an item, like her thatched boots or something, I assume that the 2 items will be her staff and what she's standing on here.
Okay.
Is my guess. If we look at the bifold itself, there we go. First of all, as we've been saying, if you want to scan that QR code, please feel free. I love that art there as well. It's so good looking. But please feel free to scan that QR code if you can, if you want to learn how to play the game. Also, if you're unable to do that for whatever reason, you can check the description down below to find a link to learn how to play this game. But also, you will be able to follow the other link that's down there if you're interested in buying these decks for yourself. And then, as we've seen with these bifolds on the back, you have 3 of the images of the other decks. Again, feel free to check out the rest of our playlist for that. But we start with a Stunning Strike. So again, I hesitate to make so many comparisons to Dungeons & Dragons, because this game is its own game. But a Stunning Strike is, in fact, something that a monk can do in Dungeons & Dragons. I forget, maybe level 2 you gain that ability, I think. But yeah, and that combines with the Flurry of Fists, which is a card in Varia, or Flurry of Blows, which is an ability in D&D as well. It's interesting. This art is very comic book-like to me. I think, Amy, you've mentioned that in the past about some of these arts. But it almost looks like the monk's arm is like elongated.
Yeah.
You know, in an attempt to punch this samurai-looking warrior.
Yeah, it's another one of those perspectives that we were talking about, where you're almost laying on the ground and looking up diagonally at something.
Yeah.
Trying to make it look large, and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
I like it. And I like the idea of, like, there's like twilight going on, you know, that it's like dark and starry. You can see like the stars in the sky because, as you said, we're kind of looking up, which means that the helmet of this warrior is being kind of framed by the moon in the background.
yes. To kind of bring your eye to this area.
Yeah. Yeah, which is very cool. And like, it looks like there's like a little bit of a purple glow to the monk's fist, like very slight.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you know, then the red in the I almost want to just call it a skirt on the warrior there.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's very creative.
I think this is our same warrior that we saw fight the ninja in the wheat field.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, at least the same style of armor, right?
Yeah,
if it's like a
looks the
right.
same.
If it's like a type of soldier in a particular army or something. And as we have been doing. This has a large amount of flavor text. I think this one card has more flavor text than every card in the Cosmic Mage deck that wasn't an item, which is, again, not, it's not a knock. I just would love to know more about the Cosmic Mage, but I'm sure we will find out more as time goes on. But for the Stunning Strike, it says, take care when attempting to burn her temple. That monk rang Aiden's head like a bell. He's still seeing stars. Or Alden's head? I think it's Alden. It sure is. Alden's head like a bell. He's still seeing stars. The quote is attributed to Cormac, Eye of Sherazane. Ooh, I also like the fact that, now that I'm looking a little bit closer, that on the left there you can see kind of the back end of this warrior's shield that he's holding on to, just with the leather straps or whatever.
I thought you noticed that already.
But yeah, it's
this being his sword, the curvature of it.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
To gain that sort of fisheye perspective there.
So cool. I like it. Very unique.
Yes.
We've mentioned that things look comic book style-esque before with these decks, but this is somewhat more unique than that even I feel.
It's got a sort of a whimsy to it, almost, that I feel like a lot of the other ones just didn't really have, like, all these... I mean, I guess you could call it symbols or runes or whatever, but it almost feels like the swirls on this armor aren't really there.
Okay.
They're just in the picture to, like, I don't know, like...
emphasize the hit or whatever? Or, like, frame it? No?
Because to me, they look like the swirls that are, on our deck box for our monk.
Yes, in the background there, sure.
So almost like they just wanted to carry that design through.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't actually exist on the armor that it's being shown on. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I don't know.
But then it's a good thing that we've seen that it is on the other armor, because otherwise it would have been a question, right?
Yeah.
So that's good to know. And we have 3 of those. As I think we've had every deck, the first card that we've looked at, there have been 3 of them. Ooh, whoa. Raging Heart Demonic Claw.
Cool.
Very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style. I like that. It says, over a lifetime, balance. In a moment, decisiveness. So cool.
Yeah. Love it. Old school painted. It sort of blends into those borders again.
And so I'm getting a little bit of a hint here about the nature of our monk, in that it says, over a lifetime, balance, in a moment, decisiveness. And this is a magical attack, demonic, and the type of energy that's radiating off of her here is solely red.
Okay.
So to me, that means that the red side of her aura, if you will, or her chi, is demonic in nature. She's got horns coming out of her bald head in the front there.
Whoa, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so, and her hand legitimately is a claw now, or clawed now. So it seems that if she fully taps into her red side of her chi, she can become demonic in nature. And I mean, maybe blue is solely angelic. Maybe it is more white than blue. Because if you look, at least on this art on the back that I'm looking at here, right, the inside of that red outline is black.
Yeah.
And the inside of the blue outline is white.
Yeah.
So like heavenly and hell based and demonic.
And yeah, I can see how that would be like a white light color.
Yeah.
As opposed to blue. Mm-hmm. Because, a white light you see as being more blue because the blue shines through more than the other colors because it's more prominent.
Right. Very, very interesting. Look at that. We're getting a lot of flavor and story here. I like it. Yeah, again, this perspective is so cool too. Yeah. Just like, it just seems like this is scary. This art is scary. And it's
really coming at
awesome.
You. There's a lot of movement.
Is this a face here or like a piece of rock?
I can't tell.
In the bottom left, I'm talking about. I can't tell whether that's a face looking up or if it's just like a rocky mountainside kind of a thing.
It kind of looks to me like a woman's body, like in a gown.
Interesting. Yeah,
I don't think that's what's actually there, but that's what I see.
No, it's definitely a rocky outcropping or just a piece of mountain. I would think. Sorry, I don't want to say definitely. I don't know. Who knows? Then we have, Graceful Mind, Angelic Paw. So there you go. This is the angelic side of things. Wow, okay. I feel that feels very good when you're able to look at something and kind of deduce and, again, make a deduction and then be proven most likely right. I mean, again, there's possibilities that we're wrong still, but to be able to like look at other art and say like, yes, there's a blue outline or blue trails to this, but the inner light is white. And that indicates angelic, and the black inner light with the outline of the red indicates demonic. So interesting. And I mean, even look at them together, right? Like just the facing in different directions, right? It's two sides of the same coin kind of a thing. They're both magical attacks. One's angelic, one's demonic. I like that kind of dichotomy between the two there.
Yeah.
A lot. I think that's really cool. And again, I mean, just this, I would say, is not as scary.
No.
Right? It's, and in fact, it looks like the blue energy coming off of the back of the monk here looks more like wing-like, right? Like angelic wing style. Whereas the same type of energy, just in a different color, is coming off the back of the monk here, and yet it doesn't look like wings here.
It just looks like scratches.
Yeah.
Because
of the claw. Yeah, exactly. So cool. So cool. Man, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great piece of art. Beautiful, old school painted again. There's a lot of blending, especially in the background, which is great.
Yeah.
Because it makes you focus more on the foreground. I love how much blurring there is on the opponent.
Yeah, the victim of this
kicking. Because it really, like, you said it's a lot less scary. I think that's what gives it that scariness, is the fact that that light is so encompassing of that victim that there's no way to know if that person's even going to be anything but dust when this kick is over.
Yeah.
I love all of the sort of symbols that you can see on the like shin piece of armor here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. The way that they captured the shadows and the highlights in that spot is really nice. Can you guys see that? Probably not.
I think so.
But yeah, no, it's really great. I love how they used the light in these areas. I kind of wish there was less light here, and more light on the actual monk.
Okay.
Because I think this really draws your eye to this spot.
Okay.
And that's the most irrelevant.
Right, there's not a lot going on back there.
Of the artwork. Okay. Yeah.
I'll also say, I mean, this card is called Graceful Mind, Angelic Paw. And at least on Demonic Claw, which, by the way, it's cool that they rhyme, but on Demonic Claw, the hand is, in fact, a demonic claw.
Right.
Whoops, sorry. Is, in fact, a demonic claw, as you can see. But here, nothing's going on with the hand at all, unless I guess you're saying that the paw is the foot. Because I guess animals that walk on four legs, all four of their feet are paws. So maybe that's why. Yeah. It just, to me, it's like, I'm like, oh, it's an angelic paw, and I look to the hand, and it's like, oh, it's not that hand. So maybe it's because it's the foot. I can't quite tell.
I don't know. And maybe this is trying to be like the location of, or like the source of this angelic power. But it doesn't appear to be in the sky or coming down. It appears to just be like on the edge of the pagoda.
Right. And from my understanding of monks in general, your chi is harnessed within yourself. So I wouldn't necessarily think it would be coming from like an outward source that causes the,
it says angelic, so that's what makes
No, absolutely. That. Absolutely. And you might, the monk might be gathering the chi from nature. Right, so that still could be that they're drawing the influence from outside in some way. But, interesting. Then we have, Center the Soul.
Wow, That is gorgeous.
It's a physical discipline card, which I don't think we've seen any of, because this is somewhat new. This like frame is somewhat new to me. The like border and the frame of this card.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's the same as the first card that we had.
Is it? Oh, okay. Good point.
Color is slightly different, but
Yeah, I guess maybe because it blends in so well with the background, I just thought it looked so different.
I don't think they can see that, but
Yeah.
yeah, the color is slightly different. Here, it's a red, but it's a bit purplier of a red,
Sure.
like more of a scarlet. Mm-hmm. And here, it's more of an orangey red, so it matches this instead of clashing with
Interesting.
the leaves.
Okay, so then yeah, that's definitely why I think that. That's so cool. I love it though. I mean, Center of the Soul, just the name of it, the look, the what almost looks like a white sandy Zen garden type of a location that she's standing among here. Where, you know, you see those like Zen gardens with the little rakes in the sand, and it just looks like this sand has been raked in perfect parallel lines to show that, and she is just standing on the rock, meditating, centering her soul, centering her chi.
Yeah, it's
very
interesting.
cool.
I love that they used this reddish, orangish color as the leaves, as a nice complementary color to the greens of the leaves and the green of her outfit.
Yeah.
As well as, I think that has some significance with monks. It's more of like an orangey color, but, you know, that color has a lot of significance in Buddhism and Hinduism as well, I believe.
Okay.
For monks, as it's sort of the color of the seeds that they use to make the prayer beads.
Oh, awesome.
And the I think also like the earth clay or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not fully familiar with it, so if anyone is, please leave more information in the comments.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely thrilled to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to.
But like, if you've seen monks in orange robes, that's the reason why they're orange.
Okay. I love that. Whoa. Whoa. So cool. Wellspring of Wrath. Look at those colors.
Yeah, that's really great.
Wow. And again, it's demonic because look, the horns are even bigger here. You can even see what look like flaming wings framed in the background. God, she's so cool. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And again, this one, Amy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but would kind of be considered to be not as contrasting. Right. There's just the reds and the yellows and the oranges, and then that little tinge of green, right? That's like glowing yellow anyway.
Outfit,
yep.
But I think they're really trying to lean into the indication of how bright this light is.
It's so bright.
That the color of her outfit is so washed out at this point.
Yeah.
Because of the light that is not just this, but I mean all of this surrounding her.
Yeah.
Has turned her green outfit into that color with the light.
So cool. So cool. And again, just like looking at the art, it gives you an indication of how powerful this monk can be with her tapping into her demonic abilities. I'm curious then if the next card, since we saw Demonic Claw and then Angelic Paw, I'm curious if the next card is her like ultimate version of her angelic side. I don't know if you wanted to say more about this art before we move past it.
I'm taking a look at it quickly just to see.
Of course.
No, I don't know that there's much else to say.
All right. I mean, it's fantastic. This is so good. And again, so striking when you turn from one card to the next. Like, and it's funny. Looking at these cards like this, what I think of is when we actually play this game, right? That drawing cards in card games, you're typically supposed to keep a poker face. When you draw your card off the top of your deck, right, you're supposed to keep a poker face because you don't want your opponent to know whether you got something good or something bad, because then they could cater their plays to what you've just indicated to them with the look on your face. And yet some of these cards are so striking in terms of color that like I feel like that would make me react, and then like it wouldn't. I mean, obviously this card seems to be much more powerful based on the cost and etc., but it just leads me to believe that like my reaction to seeing this card and like my eyes kind of opening wider might indicate to someone who's like trying to pay attention and read me that this is a good thing that I've drawn, and they wouldn't be wrong in this case, but you know,
no, they wouldn't.
But the colors are just so strong and bright.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Did a great job in the use of light. It's definitely painted, but it's not really an old school style. It's definitely got a contemporary feel, almost a comic booky feel again.
Yeah.
But yeah, the colors are insane, beautifully done.
It's awesome. All right, so let's see if I was right. I was, seemingly. Ooh, Harmonious Defense. So notably, this looks like the continuation of the card that we just saw in the Cosmic Mage deck.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Something about a wave. I don't exactly remember the name of it, but yeah, it was the water-based card.
Cosmic Water.
So cool.
It's right here.
Yeah. And now you can see that the Cosmic Mage, was fighting the monk. That's so cool. Do we have two? We do have two. It is a magical block. It is angelic. It does cost 5, and it has 5 symbols on the bottom right as opposed to the 4 symbols on the bottom right for the Wellspring of Wrath. But it does seem to me that this does appear to be what is supposed to be the kind of the epitome of the angelic side of things.
Do you think? Okay, so this is her staff here.
That looks like nunchakas at that point, but
yeah.
But hey, again, we'll maybe learn about it. But there are absolutely staffs that can kind of separate into that and have like cord in between them, holding them together so that they can like separate and be used in that way to kind of be whipped around like nunchucks.
Yeah, I mean, this is like very clearly 3 pieces that are just connected with like little metal hoops.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same sort of concept. Yeah. I like the sort of like rings of light that go around her praying hands.
Her hands and like her torso.
Yeah, like a hula hoop sort of feeling.
Well, right, and also then the defense, the block here. It's just so cool. And again, it says it's harmonious, and it seems like it is, right? Yeah. Around her torso or her waist, around her hands, and around her physical body, protecting her from this attack.
Right, which
so
obviously
cool.
is the point
of
doing it. So.
And I like the fact that it says on this card, the ability allows you to return a demonic card to your hand. So because you are using something angelic, you then can get to use something demonic, again, talking about balance, right? So you've used something angelic, now you can move further to your demonic side to try to balance it out. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Just the flavor of that in general, in the playability, seems really cool.
This art is cool. I like this sort of digital looking light source of the barrier. But then also the monk herself looks very sketchy and painted at the same time. So it kind of gives it a lot of variety within the one piece of art. I like it a lot.
Yeah, very, very cool. Next we have Eternity Palms. So this is, oh my god, that art's so good.
Yeah, it is.
We have what is the art that we saw on the bifold, but we saw it much more zoomed in, and this is angelic demonic. Yeah, I was going to say, it seems to be the ultimate in balance, right? Because it shows the demonic on the left, the angelic on the right, the clouds, the blue wispy, white and blue wispy clouds with the beautiful blue sky, contrasted with the red angry clouds and the black with the lightning shooting down and the monk is just in the middle, almost meditating, one leg up, in like a crane pose, arms fully out to the side, just perfectly in balance. I love it. That is so cool.
She's not standing on that same thing that was on the front of
No.
the deck box.
No.
She's standing on like a craggy rock.
Yeah, which is, again, it seems like that's her style, because it's not the exact same piece of rock, I don't believe, but that's where she's standing in Center Your Soul as well. It's just on a piece of rock.
Okay.
That kind of seems out of place in the locale that it's in.
Yes.
Right? So maybe that thing that she's standing on in the main art on the front of the box turns into stone to become more natural for the area.
Maybe.
I think is a stretch, but just trying to make guesses. Behind Eternity Palms, we got 2 of them. That is so cool. I love that art so much.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Wow.
Again, talk about striking.
Yeah, use of light with the lightning, and even the sun shining in on this corner. They can't really see that, but
Sorry.
these sort of sunburst pieces here. The highlight on the rocks. I love it. I love how the picture behind is almost behind the monk is almost like a spider web.
Yeah. Or like a cracked piece of glass or something.
Yeah.
So
cool. Very cool. I love the reds. It's so cool to see so many reds in clouds with lightning.
That still seems realistic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason why it seems so realistic is because of the way they were able to capture the light when it comes to the lightning bolts themselves.
Yeah.
So the lightning bolts, the way they are constructed and the way the light sort of reverberates away at the base of where they're hitting is so realistic that it doesn't matter to you that the color is so unrealistic. Because that doesn't occur to you because it's so well done. And yeah, I think it's also cool that you've got like these sort of muted grayish green sort of island looking areas over here, whereas you've got black mountains over here.
Well, and you mentioned about the rock. I like even just that the rock contrasts the sky in that it's bright on one side and dark and a little bit red tinged on the other side. I like that a lot because, again, it's balance. It's perfectly split like that.
Yeah, I love the highlights on that rock.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, very well done.
Super great. And you know what? I guess I'll do it now instead of trying to remember to do it at the end. Something that we've talked about the art throughout, right? That's kind of what we're doing as part of the review. If it needs to be said, because, maybe some people are new to the channel, but appropriate shout outs to every one of these artists.
Yeah.
Like, they did an amazing job. Whoever is in charge of art direction, if that is a thing that they did, in terms of describing to the artists what direction they wanted to go in, very, very well done. I mean, look at us being able to talk about like, oh, well, the card does this and it shows this, and that's really flavorful. It connects really well. And it's like, obviously the artist didn't make the card itself. And I say obviously, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm relatively certain that the artists did not make each card that they drew art for.
Right.
Right? I think I can be relatively confident in at least that much.
Yeah.
And so having good art direction is really important, and then having very talented artists is extremely important as well. So feel free. The artists' names are in the bottom left-hand corner of each of these cards. And so feel free to check out their works, whether they can be found online or whatever. But if you see a piece of art that you like, especially, feel free to check out that artist and see more of the things that they've done, because this is really, really good.
And leave it in the comments, because it's something that we would absolutely love to hear about, especially if you've seen other works by the same artist. We would absolutely love to hear about those, or possibly even see those. But we'd also like to know the reasoning behind why this is your favorite piece of art. Say this is your favorite piece of art. We'd love to know why. I mean, maybe you agree with us, maybe you disagree with us, or maybe you came up with something that we didn't see. So we want to know.
So cool. All right, and let's see. 2 Pillars of Adana. So this is the Back of our box art, another Angelic Demonic. It is a very high cost, 7, and I think the highest of the deck so far. And I'm curious, I guess our monk's name is Adana, is my guess? Or maybe yeah, because I was going to say maybe it's a godlike entity that they follow, but it's both sides. It's the twin pillars, so I would doubt that... I wouldn't say I would doubt. Typically, there is not a godlike figure who is both angelic and demonic and granting their powers, at least in fantasy that I've seen, and maybe that's just something new they're doing for Varia, who knows. The flavor text does say, I am the line between demonic rage and angelic grace, which is so cool. Obviously, we've talked about... I mentioned it when we were looking earlier, the fact that the monk is holding seemingly something within these two pieces of energy, or at least that the energy is flowing so much through her fists that it almost appears that it's forming swords in either fist, both angelic and demonic, as we see. I love it. It's so cool. I think is there only the one? There is only the one.
Yeah, because I would love to mention beautiful art.
So cool.
Seems to be a nice painted landscape in the background. I love the way the sun sort of plays upon this snow on top of the mountain kind of look. And then she is very sketchy and like pen drawn.
Yeah, very strikingly different than the background, it seems.
Yes, and it seems like they really wanted to do that. They really wanted to capture like a nice tranquil background with her having a lot of texture, and then with this having a lot of brightness and power.
Yeah, I think...
the sort of magic that's surrounding her and coming out of her.
Yeah, I think it stands out most to me where that belt meets that pagoda. Right? Like, they're overlapping each other, but they couldn't be more different visually, right? It really looks like somebody, like, took a sticker... right, that was this monk and just like stuck it on top of this painting.
Yeah, because this is painted, and so it doesn't have an outline.
Yeah.
It's, every highlight and shadow that exists just is another color, whereas she is entirely outlined. Every piece of her is outlined with a black line, and then each color is filled in.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's so cool. It's so well done.
And then there's a completely different style for the magic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it really does this picture a lot of service to kind of have those 3 different styles layer like that.
Yeah.
To really give it like a dynamic that is unique.
I was just going to say,
And it really kind of allows you to look at each part of the art. I think a lot of the other arts that we've looked at, we've said, oh, okay, like this is the direction things are pointing. This is where your eye goes to because of where the light is shining. And this, I think, allows you to look at each part and give each part its own amount of time.
Sure, yeah.
And really appreciate each part in its own way for its own style.
Right. I love it. So unique, so cool. Oh my God. I love this art.
It's very nice.
Okay, and we're back to our 2 characters. So we have Ensa's Prayer again. So it does seem like these cards, there's one or the other, right? I forget the name of the other one, and we've seen it a million times. But this is Ensa's Prayer. And the other one that we've seen is the one where this goddess or godlike figure is standing behind, holding the sword. Again, check out our other videos. She is behind or above?
Above.
Okay. So yeah, very, very good. I like that. We have another Brace Yourself. We've seen that many times at this point as well.
Yeah.
We have a Force Blister, which we've seen many times. We have a Sublimate. Again, we've talked about this, and in the Cosmic Mage deck, we actually saw the continuation of this image, which we had not seen previous to this. We have 2 of those. We have Swift Escape. I'm waiting to see if we get the other one. That's why I'm holding off. Otherwise, we'll talk about it.
I just thought that you meant it was that.
No. Swift Escape, again, another card where we've seen both sides of it.
Yeah,
the zoomed out version and the zoomed in version. And this has the funny flavor text of beer, beans, blood, all spills that need cleaning as far as I'm concerned. Keep it contained and you can keep coming back, says Carl, proprietor of the Fancy Dragon.
And I will say I was a bit mistaken when it comes to this card, because I did mention the sort of the timber frame building with the sort of plaster walls, and that being a bit later than the sort of time frame that I figured that we would be in for this. But it's really not for an interior wall.
Okay.
For exterior walls, that really sort of came about around the very end of the Middle Ages.
Okay.
But for interior walls, that was kind of the way they did things for a while. So I am mistaken, because that's definitely an interior wall.
Yes. Yeah. They're inside the tavern or whatever. Okay, so we have two of those. We have a backflip. Again, this is another card that we've seen both sides of. And that seems to be the MO of these non-deck specific cards, is that they are joint arts. And in fact, I don't know if there is one that isn't. Now that I think about it. Except for like the Ensas, right, with the main characters there.
Yeah, I mean, it's two different depictions of the same two characters.
Right, but
it's not a continuation of the same art. Yeah.
Right, it may be a continuation of the same story, like part 1, part 2,
obviously,
but yeah, so cool. So double backflip here, combat reflexes. So yeah, again, we've seen that art. There's the Flurry of Fists. So okay, maybe the Flurry of Fists.
That one's just, on its own.
Right. Okay, so I think
unless we've seen whatever would be here in the picture,
Sure.
and because it's in this area just after where this fist would hit, it doesn't occur to us that it's part of the same picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a possibility, but I doubt it.
Right. So I kept this on the side on purpose because I wasn't sure if we would see the Lightning Conduit card, but shout outs to the person on Twitter who called us out for being like, hey, by the way, like, it's not just the cards where you still see another portion of the art. Check out Force Blister and Lightning Conduit. And so I was hoping that there would be a Lightning Conduit in this one, and there wasn't, but that's the one where the mage is standing there. I'm assuming it's a mage standing there, catching the lightning shooting from the sky in one hand, and then holding out his other hand and shooting out the lightning this way. And here's the Force Blister. So again, shout outs to that person for cluing us into that, because that is really, really awesome. And it blew our minds. It genuinely did. I mean, that's how we responded to them on Twitter, but it really did. We were just like, holy crap. So there's Flurry of Fists. Here's the Shield Kick. So again, this is at least a monk fighting another one of these soldiers.
Yeah, see, it's definitely the same helmet style.
Right, and I mean, again, it's the same type of two combatants, so that to a degree makes sense that they would be at odds with one another somewhat frequently, at least.
Now in this picture, you're seeing the front of the shield as opposed to the back side of it.
Exactly. So cool. Aimed Edge, so there's the other half of the... where is it? Come on. The Swift Escape that we were just looking at from the tavern.
Yep.
Ooh, all right. We're into the items. I'm excited. We have the Cerberus Staff. What a name. So again, Cerberus, for people who are unaware, the three-headed dog that is said to guard the gates of hell. So cool.
Yeah.
And the flavor text, Adena's monks worship a two-faced entity. Their fighting style emulates her dynamic nature. So there you go. I was wrong. Adena is, in fact, the proprietor of the monks, or the entity that they are worshiping, because she is not Adena. It is Adena's monks, and so she is one of Adena's monks, she being the character depicted here, obviously. And they worship a two-faced entity, so it is, in fact, a single entity that is both angelic and or demonic at any given time.
Yeah.
I like that.
When I first saw this art, I saw this end of the staff being a sword.
Oh, okay.
But since we saw the sort of nunchuck style of version of the staff, I don't think it is.
Yeah, maybe it's just the disconnecting point.
It's just light with the angelic power.
Love it. And yet it's called the Cerberus Staff, which I love, because again, there's the dark side and the light side. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very cool. There it is. You were right. It is the two-faced turbum. Okay, I don't offhand know what a turbum is, but like I said...
I don't either.
Right, like I said, it looks like a drum to me, right? Yeah. Like a topped drum. It's got, maybe this is rope around it, so... But it lists it as an artifact. I don't... there's no flavor text, so I have no more context for you, Amy. I apologize.
Dang.
But you were right, it is a face, and again, demonic on one side, angelic on the other.
Yeah.
It's a little unsettling.
It really is. It really is.
But it's the two-faced entity that the Cerberus staff was talking to us about. That's so cool. I love it. Here's the token cards. Token for Flurry of Fists. As we saw earlier, that's probably important. There's another one behind it. Also, Combat Reflexes on the back, also in this deck. And... Combat Reflexes on the back again. Okay. So the two cards that we have. Then we have, again, Chi and Eyes of the Goddess as our stack cards, or stacks cards.
Okay.
The Chi one makes perfect sense. The Eyes of the Goddess goes to the Divine Paladin deck. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, as we have always seen, Enraged and Fatigue.
Yes.
And last but certainly not least is the D6 and D4 cutout and assemble cards. Being green, because it is the color of the deck. If we flip to the back, you see the other three deck boxes or deck arts that are not shown on the back of this bifold. So again, just to let everybody know, we have a little bit more to talk about here, but if you're interested in picking these up, check the description down below. You can see the website name right here as well, but feel free to check the description down below for the link to pick these up for yourself and or to learn how to play this great game. This was so much fun. Yeah. Oh my god. So here is the Mystic Monk deck that we were just looking at. I do have to say, it did seem to be more complex than a lot of the other decks that we've looked at.
Okay.
Not necessarily more complex than the Sixth Blade, just different. Because the Sixth Blade, it was just like, hey, your deck is mostly, if not entirely, blocks. How do you win with that? You know, right. Which is pretty obvious to me as to how that deals in complexities.
Yeah.
This seems to be so balance-based, right? And I mean, that is super flavorful, but it's basically like, okay, if you use too many angelics and not enough demonics, you're not going to win. Because we saw some of those angelics saying, hey, when you use this, return demonic, right? So it means you have to have made sure that you're using both sides.
Yeah.
Which the monk wants for balance, flavorfully, storyline-wise, but also your deck wants so that you gain more appropriate benefits from having done so.
Well, and maybe that explains the difficulty level. Maybe it's just so hard to be balanced enough to use it to its full effectiveness.
Mm-hmm. And it's another thing to have to keep track of.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, how many demonic cards do I have in my discard? And how many more angelic cards will there be in the deck? And how do I balance that appropriately?
But again, we haven't played with this yet, so we don't actually know what it's going to be like in gameplay at all.
Right.
Yet.
So for all of you Varia fans who were drawn to our channel and to these videos because we were doing something related to Varia, we will be hopefully doing some battle videos as soon as we can. We're going to try to figure out the best setup for that camera-wise, and whether it's just going to be Amy and I or whether we're going to bring in some guests. We will have to determine that. So that may take a little bit of time, and we ask you to be a little bit patient with us on that. But we will do our best because now we have these decks and we want to play them because that's the next part, right?
Yeah, now that we've seen the cards, we're anxious to do more with them.
Yes. And for those of you that are from our channel and watching, please let us know, and really anybody, but please let us know what you thought of these Varia decks.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Guildhouse Games, if they are watching these videos, would love to have your feedback, but we would love to hear from you as well. What did you think of our review in general? Did you like this style of card review or deck review? What could we do to improve? What do we not need? Like, don't change this at all. It was great. Any and all feedback that you might have, we would love to hear from you.
Any and all historical information that I wasn't privy to,
Yeah.
please leave that in the comments. Because
Yeah.
as I always say on this channel, if there's things I miss, I want to know.
Yeah.
That stuff is interesting to me. So pass it on.
We want to learn. So the more learning, the better, right? And yeah, we would love to hear from you. Any and all thoughts that you have down in the comments below. A huge shout out and thank you to Guildhouse Games and their entire team for reaching out to us, for sending us these decks, and for giving us the opportunity to review them. We hope we didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
But this has been an absolute blast and an honor. So like we said, please feel free to let us know your thoughts. And from the Geek for All family of channels, I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
Again, if you are here as a fan of Varia, please feel free to check out our other stuff. We do have other videos on this channel, mostly related to Magic the Gathering. There is some other random things going on here and there. In fact, I will say stay tuned for next week, where we'll be having a very special video coming out on Thursday, hopefully. I'm trying to edit it up as best I can. But we also have other channels, Video Games for All and Gluten Free for All, and you can check those out as well. Links for everything that you might need are down in the description box below. And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks so much, everybody.